there's where, just because we're there, that's where they clip on with their crane. And that would be laying down, you know, imagine trying to fish that out of the bottom of the river, you know, that's, you know, it's a lot of work. And then you throw conditions in there. Where's my pointer?
There you go.
Okay, I was trying to get back to the, there we go. It's kind of your midpoint, but this is, you know, this would be hardwired in, and that would just lay down flat.
So the props were hinged on about halfway up in the wicket?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And then here's a flat one. This was the wicket laying
Oh,
down. So, but then they would they would grab that pin, you know, you're fishing it out of dirty river water, you know, so you just have to know where to aim, you know.
so you had to have a diver down there to hook the wicket up?
No, they would do it by feel.
Even years ago, really?
Yeah, I mean, the only time they'd send a diver down is if, you know, you get into where, you know, you can't get one up for whatever reason, you know, because they're, in between there's a little bit of a gap. They don't set perfectly against each other. I mean, if you ever were on the lower end of one, you would see a lot of water coming through. You know, it blocks enough to make an impact, but there's gaps probably, you know, a few inches in between each one. So water's still coming out in between them, but
So the brace, as it went up, there was a hole in concrete, something that made the brace stay put, hold up?
yeah, it would lock you into place.
So how they get that brace undone, let it down?
By going, I guess,
If you pull that.
going up and then back down, and it would
It would
release it.
slide back?
Yeah, it would lock in place.
Yeah.
And then when they then pull it up towards them and then lay it back
It'll
down.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
So the brace would flow, kind of kick it out a little bit, let it flatten out?
Yeah, no, this would stay fixed.
Well,
And then
There's
that's
a
when-
hinge to the
to
wicket.
let it down, how they get that brace out of the notch?
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, you got all kinds of pressure on it.
If it goes this way.
I guess I don't understand what you're
Okay,
asking.
if you want to let it down, that brace is in that notch, how they get it kicked out of the notch? They raise it up a little bit, and the flow
Yeah.
The flow kicks it
kicks
back.
the
Yeah,
brace up.
yeah,
and-
because there's a lot of water, you know, pressure. And that's why we talked about
Oh, okay.
getting that 21st one, the way it lays,
Oh.
that's, I mean, it's that, like say this is the 20th, and this is your 21st one. He said that would be the hardest one to get, is that those next few after that
Oh, okay.
initial series, because there's so much pressure on them that it was hard for them to get them up. And that's why, you know, you'd have 4 to 8 people, kind of your manhandlers, that would cycle in and out. They would rotate, because it was a workout. I mean, to get those things set in place, even with the crane, it's quite the workout, my understanding. Fortunately, I've never had to do it, which I'm kind of glad for, you know, because I don't want to go out there for 18 hours. I like about pushing the buttons.
Okay, I see.
Anybody else?
Homesteads, are those wickets, are they from the old dam, or did they put new?
They put new ones in, yeah.
Geez, you think they'd put the automated like you have, or they?
You know, you would think, I don't know why they went that rate. I mean, they have both. They have what we have, hanger gates,
Okay,
but they have wicket as well. That's $1 million question. I don't know. I wasn't involved in the planning. You know, if I was doing the planning, you know, you look at all the new locks like Newburgh and Markland and McAlpin, they all work great. You know, so why they went that route, I don't know. That's $1 million question. I've kind of heard that there are talks about replacing it at some point, but you know, who knows? What, you know, somebody may just be talking. But yeah, I don't know why they would put wickets in.
So the stone dams, were they put in privately or were they put in by the government that predates this lock and dam system?
I'm not 100% sure, sir. I don't want to answer.
Well, there's still some around,
Yeah.
so you can.
I mean, I worked at a few lakes with the Corps when I first got out of service, and you know, of course they were all, you know.
I understand it'd be under Corps of Engineers
Yeah.
control, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure who, you know. Yeah, to answer your question, I'm not 100% sure.
Out on the river, there are big signs on the lock and dam telling people how many feet to stay back. I think it's 600 feet, something like that.
150.
150, okay.
Yeah.
But yet we see fishermen going
Yeah.
right up You pay much attention to them, or?
We try to keep an eye on them, but, you know, that's not our job, you know. If they get too close, we'll send our guy out there to run them off, but just as soon as you walk away, they go back. You know, over the years, we've had accidents there.
So they used to have a marker buoy to mark the 150 feet on the Kentucky side right at the fixed wall, to where you'd have a line of sight, where you could see how close you were to the gates.
Yeah,
But it hasn't, I haven't seen that for years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think we've ever put it out since I've been there, so that predates
Yeah,
me.
but it was very nice to be able to, you had a line of sight all the way to the line on the flood gate, or on the
That
regular lock and
That makes
dam.
sense, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So that you knew where 150 feet was, if
Yeah.
you're not a good judge of
But yeah,
distance. but you're-
they get in there and we'll go run them off. By the time you get back to the land wall or the middle wall, they're already back in there.
Yeah.
So we keep an eye on them, but there's not much we can do. You know, if we're running a lot of water and they get in there, it takes a minute, you know, per foot to close it. So if I gotta close it 10 feet, you know, by then you're in trouble, you know. And, you know, 10 minutes in water, a lot can happen, you know. There's been times where boats get sucked in, you know, and never come back up, you know. Of course, people have been sucked in and that never came back up too, you know, unfortunately. But there's not a whole lot we can do about it.
Have you had small boats like that pass through the locks? Those small,
Locking them?
I mean, just going through the locks, those small boats that they out there fishing in boats.
Have they ever got into the gates?
Right.
Of the dam? Yeah. And
They
it'll
just
take,
pass on through?
no, it'll take that boat, you know, never when they're all out. I've never seen anybody do that. You'd be crazy. There's so much force going through there.
Okay.
I always thought it would be neat to run, you know, a inner tube, get on an inner tube and shoot the But I'd have to be guaranteed I wouldn't hit anything. But I always thought that would be an interesting trip, you know, but no, I've never seen anybody attempt it. I've seen some people make the approach like they were going to, but then they chickened out at the last minute. You see a lot of stuff there on the river.
So you have a megaphone where you say, "Get the heck
We do, but they just ignore us. You know, we got one at the lower end, the hauler boats are sitting, I mean, some fishermen will sit in the approach and you'll have boats shoving right to them, you know, barges with, you know, 15 barges headed your way. I'd get out of the way, personally. Some of these guys don't. They'll sit there last minute and the captain's laying on his horn trying to get them clear and yeah, sometimes there's not a whole lot of sense in on the river.
After 9/11, they changed procedures as far as the public being involved with the locks and dams. Describe what has happened since then.
Yeah, they pretty much shut us down. They put up that fence there. You know, there's a lot of cameras around there. There's not much on the facility we can't see now. They come in and put in a security system for it and a gate. You know, used to it be wide open. Used to we had a little bullpen area where people could come and watch lockages in the small chamber. I'm sure some of you may have done that. Then that went away, of course, once they put in the security. We still have the security. We still maintain the security. And unfortunately, that's a product of 2011, you know, or 2001. But yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have the cameras because if something happens, we use them as operators. We use them more for operational stuff. You know, I'll hijack one of the security cameras to view, you know, if there's an accident or something, to get footage of it, or you know, if I can get a better angle with one of their cameras. Because we have operational cameras as well there at Newburgh. We got gate cameras, so we can see behind the gates as they're moving. But I'll hijack some of the security cameras and put them over on our side and use them for operational purposes sometimes too. Because they're better than our operational cameras. They're a little more updated, even though, you know, they're 22 years old now. You know, they're still better than what we have on an operational side.
Do you have any models that the museum could borrow for display?
I do not. I know my father-in-law. He had a model, and he said I made a lot of money with that model, you know, because every time somebody come over, they want to know how to do wickets. And he had a model wicket, and he would show them. And when they closed down 52 and 53, I think they moved it to Louisville, up in the district somewhere. It'd been nice to get my hands on that, because you'd be able to see exactly what it is, because it was a nice model. He said, yeah, I made many a dollars on that, because, you know, he spent a lot of time giving tours, I guess, because it's, you know, it's a neat place to see. You know, unfortunately, they're gone. 52 and 53 are completely, you know, they didn't leave a single building. So unlike 47, where you still have the powerhouse, there's nothing at 52 or 53. They come in and they took it all out, which is unfortunate, I mean, because that's the last of the dying breed. You know, it did more than it was initially designed. I think initially they were only designed for 25 years cycle. You know, and you know, like I said, they used the same steamboat from 1926 to 2018. You know, it's pretty amazing. You know, you look at the boats and stuff on the river now, and you know, even being at Newburgh for 25 years, it never dawned on me that they were using the same technology, you know, from 1926 down there. You know, I just never. I always assumed that they updated it. You know, but that's not the case. You know.
If it works, don't fix it.
That's right. You know, and that's kind of, you know, you see these old pictures of the way that the gates are and stuff. Same concept is used today. I mean, they didn't change it. It works. You know, we've been pretty fortunate in Newburgh. Everything's been, you know, it kind of maintains pretty well, and we haven't had any major issues. You know, no gates falling off or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, basically, you just control the amount of water, the river level by how many gates you open, right?
Yes. Yeah, you know, we have 9 gates at Newburgh.
Yeah.
And we'll open up what's required to maintain 10 foot. You know, be it 2 feet or you know, whatever, or 100 feet. You know, once we hit 252, we're done. We'll take them all the way up, and the river's doing its thing.
I fish close to those gates, and all the logs and stuff banging again, it's scarier than hell to be up.
Yeah.
And, you know, and what we try to do is run your motor up as far as you could and throw in there, and that water rushing back. I mean, you couldn't get within 100 feet.
Yeah, it's crazy. You look inside there, and you know, you know how logs are when they fall off a tree, but they'll be perfectly round. I mean, they just sit there and churn over, and I mean, it's a constant force around those gates, and they'll be just as smooth as can be. I mean, you pull one of those out, and it's a smooth
There's a lot
roll.
of beating and banging on them.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to get any closer than that.
And I'm sure you've noticed the repair work on some of the, you know, every once in a while we'll shut down one of those damn gates to repair the face plates on them, because they just, you know, they take a beating.
Yeah, I mean.
And we'll come in and put new steel on them, you know, and that's pretty much, that's become a, you know, every couple of years, we have to go in there and do a couple of gates. You know, right now, I think gate 4 is set to be fixed. It's got metal sticking out of it, because they take a beating, but it's.
But we wouldn't catch anything on the downside, so we went into the lock, and we went in with a 12-foot boat, and they shut that gate, raised it, and I thought, man, I don't know if I wish I hadn't done this. Because, you know, we went back on the other side.
Yeah.
But when you're in that gate with a 12-foot boat, that's a lot of water.
Yeah, and you know, if you ever lock through, the closer to the lower end, especially in that small chamber, the closer to the lower end, the more movement you'll have.
Yeah.
If you go up towards the upper gates more, it's more smooth of a ride. It's not really going to hurt you either way wherever you get in there, but if you never notice, you'll see the boils coming up of the dirt, and it's more active on the lower end than it is on the upper end.
Yeah, when we got on the upside, it was just silky smooth.
Yeah.
You know, the water. Of course, we didn't catch any fish.
Anybody else?
Didn't want to interrupt early, but the reason I'm so interested, my brother and 2 cousins, my grandfather was assistant lockmaster down here.
At Newburgh?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Elmer Allen,
Elmer Allen.
lived in the West House, that's where my mom and her dad grew up.
Lived on in the housing
Yeah,
there?
so things you explained, but things I always wondered about how it worked.
Yeah, you know, it's nice to have that, you know, if it wasn't been for my father-in-law, you know, a lot of this stuff I wouldn't have been able to find, you know, because it's just not, you know, something we have available at the new lot, which is unfortunate. I mean, I went through files, I mean, there's tons of pictures of construction. I could sit here for hours and show you pictures, but they didn't really tell a story, you know. I tried to pull out some just to give you an idea, but yeah, it's nice to, you know, especially when you know people that lived in these houses, you know, the way, like, I couldn't imagine, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning, you're hearing it. You know, I've always thought wouldn't be any fun to live across the highway from the new lot, let alone next to the building, you know, but yeah, I'm glad I can answer some of those questions.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Does the Corps have like a district museum at Louisville or anywhere in the system?
You know, I'm not sure. I know like a lot of our locks, our lakes and stuff, I have their own type of museums, but I'm not sure if they have anything there in Louisville or not. That's a good question. I'll find out, and then hopefully, you know, some of you might come back in
I
November.
think there's a museum
when
in
we
South
talk about the
Haven.
new one, the new lock. I think they're going to have something.
I know when I first, a couple of years ago, we called Lock and Dam for a speaker, you know, and they referred me to Louisville. And so there's the public relations department and all of that, so maybe there is, you know.
Something up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I told my boss, he was kind of surprised, because he wanted me to go up there for something. I said, you know, in 25 years, I've never been to the district office. I said, that's a good thing, because I didn't mean I ain't been in trouble. But it's also not a good thing, because I didn't mean I ain't got no awards either. But luckily, you know, we're far enough away, they send all of our stuff in the mail. We don't have to go to district, you know, so when you get your 25-year mark or your 30-year mark, they just smell it to you.
Oh, this gentleman asked about a museum. There's kind of a museum at the lock on the Mississippi River near Alton. I don't know the number there, but there's also a simulator you can put drive a barge, simulate a barge drive through.
That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
that would be neat.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I tell those boat captains, they'll ask me a question about the approach or something, and I'm like, Captain, I've never made the lock here, you know. I've swung gates here for forever. I said, I hate to tell you wrong, you know. I know it just from feedback from other boats, this is what they feel, or this is what they have, but yeah.
Yeah, when you run that simulator, it's like over something, you turn the thing an inch and it takes you way over.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you know, you think they turn in the front, it's midsection turning, you know, everything's done off that midpoint, you know.
Yeah.
So when they get in the waves, everything's like this, you know, right in the middle of the toe is their turning point.
Can you tell when it needs dredging, or go out and take measurements, or?
We do not. We have a survey crew that comes through. They'll do the approach and the upper and in the chamber themselves. They'll periodically will do that. I think at least once a year, if not 2 times a year. And then they'll come in and dredge as needed. But yeah, we don't do it. The Corps does, but not Newburgh. We don't dredge our own or survey our own areas. The only time we've ever surveyed there was on the one of the gates. They were concerned about there being a hole had formed, so we surveyed in front of the dam on the lower side of the dam, and there was some 120-foot holes in there. I mean, there were some areas along there, you know, which I'm sure over years it's going to wash out, you know. But they spent some time and had a company come in and drop boulders, I mean big boulders down in these holes, trying to fill them up as best they could. But that's been, you know, like 20 years ago now. But they'll go out there and survey out there as well. They survey the dam, the locks, the approach, and make sure we don't, you know, make sure we have enough water on that lower end for barges to use the chambers. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm a member of Parks Board, Newburgh Parks Board, and we take great pride in those buildings that were given to us, and take a great deal of care. The old Lock and Dam building, 47, is rented just about every weekend. And the Lockmaster cottages, we have just recently, in the past year, repainted those, gotten new bedding. It's a huge bargain because they sleep 8, they are handicapped accessible, and are just, people who rent those cottages have nothing but praise for them.
That's good.
And so we're very, very pleased and very proud of those buildings.
It's nice to see them there too. That's what I always appreciated about, when I come up here was having that, like I said, it's unfortunate, like 52 and 53, nothing's left, So it's good that you guys have that. I've known families that have rented it out. I used to be involved with Newburgh softball, and softball teams would come in and families would rent it out, while they were here, and so it's nice to see them there. I've never used them. We've used the powerhouse for birthday parties for my grandkids, but over a couple of times over the years, and so it's nice to have it there.
It really is, and we take good care of it.
Yeah, it looks good. Every time I'm in there, I'm impressed. It's probably cleaner than the new lock sometimes. So we keep our lock master away from the old lock, so that way he doesn't want us to make it to match it. Anything else? Go
Well,
ahead.
thank you. You can certainly see why Mr. Rutherford is the lead lockman at the Lock and Dam here. I failed to mention that earlier. And I must say you did a damn good presentation.
Not what I normally do, but I may come back for the new one.
We hope so.
They
That
do
would
it
be
in
great.
November, but
Yeah.
I'm used to a room by myself. They're on the 3rd floor. It's all mine. I control the weather. I control the radio. It's all mine. I don't have to share it with anybody, so it's nice. Especially during the COVID years.
In the room we have
Colder in the
a,
summer since you control the weather.
No, our poor little AC can barely keep up. With all those windows on the up on the top 3rd floor, it gets hot up there. Even with, that AC runs 24 hours a day, and it still be 80 degrees up there. So it gets warm. It's not as comfortable as I make it out to be in the middle of the summer. It's better than the old one, because the old one, it would be 110 up there on the hottest days. So we would be scared off. We'd go down on the wall just to get fresh air, because it would get so hot up there. But yeah,
we're so proud of the old dam that we have a band named after it. And this is the head of the band right over here,
Yeah.
the old dam community band.
I used to run, and I'd come by there and hear them practicing every once in a while.
Is that why you were running?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
We haven't been there for 10 years. We outgrew that.
Did you? Too small now, right?
Oh, way too small.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Well, I haven't ran in 10 years either, so. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.